whenever the character Green Lantern, John Stewart, comes up, I would use the time to disparage the usage of finite resources on this character. I understand how important it is to have melanated beings on our screen. And I just can't ignore how since 2005's cartoon Justice League Unlimited came to a conclusion, I just can't ignore the years we went by without seeing him on screen. And so I've always been against supporting this character. As important and as passionate you felt watching that cartoon, we cannot just have this character getting resources of the top tier position because it will then return to either one of the other white guys who are Green Lanterns or even the female who's a Green Lantern who's, I don't know her ethnicity, Jessica Cruz, I forget, but I know it's a female. What's the point? What's the point? I look at it as start and stop representation, and the resources would be better off going to Static, Icon, Rocket, Hardware. Let's look at, who else is there? Black Lightning is a thing, even though he's kind of like Static. DC doesn't have many. Vixen. Let's get on that Vixen bandwagon and make sure that Vixen and Cyborg and some of these other characters get spotlight because they don't have competition within their own franchise under that name. When the Justice League ever happens in a movie, it's very likely there's only going to be one representative with focus from the Green Lantern Corps. And Hal Jordan was selected during that cartoon. You know the one I'm talking about. The Justice League War. Remember that? Well, it was based off of the New 52. Since then, that kind of animated universe of animated movies, he was the Green Lantern. Up until something happened in the end of 2022. I think it was called Beware My Power. But that 15-year, more than that like span where really John Stewart wasn't being featured is evidence that I try to use all the time to show you why we shouldn't really be backing this character. Any black character will do. Not any, of course, but there are many other options that could be the premier character from DC who's got a dark skin tone. And I won't take Martian Manhunter, but I'll take Icon, even though they're kind of the same thing. Which you can fight me in the comments for that, and I respect your take if you have an opposing opinion on that one. But this is the clip that we had from this Saturday. Here it is. You in darkest night. Stop that stuff. Guys, listen. Representation super important. And this character called John Stewart Green Lantern will be selected and highly profile part of the team. And then the next iteration of Justice League, when they do expensive movies, it'll be Hal Jordan over again. Don't waste all those resources on a character who's got to fight for is competitive.
But John Stewart will still exist.
Still talking. There's competition within his own franchise.
No, this anti-John Stewart narrative you have is ridiculous.
It's the anti-John Stewart narrative is a historical observation.
No,
it's much better when I do this. See, now no one's here to interrupt me. What I've observed from John Stewart Green Lantern is that he appears and he was great in that cartoon. We loved him. And then they did a cartoon called Green Lantern and it wasn't John Stewart. And they did a movie. It was live action with Green Lantern and it was Ryan Reynolds. He's been absent for like a decade from high profile Green Lantern positions in Justice League, in a lot of what DC put out. So I'm just saying if resources are going to go to a black character and we know how finite they are, finite means that there's a limit and there's a bit of it that goes there. Let's not waste those on a character like John Stewart Green Lantern. Instead, use it on Icon because there will be a black member of the Justice League because they know not to do 7 characters standing and everyone's white. So they will do it. I'm just saying give it to one guy who doesn't have to compete after each reboot for the position.
I had no idea.
Let me give you a rebuttal. Let me give you a rebuttal.
No one
because imagine if it wasn't Ryan Reynolds and they did John Stewart, it would have popped because at that time John Stewart was.
What are you talking about? Imagine if. The reason that I use these examples is because that's what happened. Sure, imagine if, then I wouldn't be able to say what I'm saying. You're right.
But chill. The difference is that John Stewart is a character. He's not an appropriated character. He's not like a race swapped or whatever. He is a member of the Corps. Like that's like saying like Snake Eyes isn't as important as Duke or Hawk or whatever because they're members of G.I. Joe.
Wow.
You're saying
You
true
don't, it's like
things
you
that
don't
don't
get the
address
lore.
what my problem
You
is.
don't
Everything
get
you're
the
saying is
lore
very
of Green
factual.
Lantern. You don't get the lore of Green Lantern. It's not
I'm
like
not talking
one of
about the
those
lore of Green Lantern. I'm
superheroes
talking about
where it's
how a
like, oh,
character
you
won't be
swap
focused
the.
by. Oh, I thought I could talk over you, but I couldn't. Nerdman, go ahead.
All I can say is, hey, all I
No,
can say,
I
I want to say
stopped.
one thing.
Go
I
on, go on, go on.
applaud you, Chillmonger. The way you broke everybody down and put your fist in there, that's hardcore, bro. Thumbs up to that, boy. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
So did you see how the conversation shifted into what the lore of lanterns are, how the ring is given to selected people, and that's why there's going to be many Green Lanterns, how the conversation stopped and was talking about, well, you see, there's always going to be John Stewart is always going to be a black character, and that's not a race swap casting, as if it addressed what I was using. The character is temporary, as shown from the last few years. There's versions of temporary representation. The race swap castings are temporary representation. Absolutely. But just because John Stewart was created the way he was created with his skin tone, it's not proof that the last few years since 2005 didn't happen. And I'm warning against the next era of a vacancy without this character, John Stewart. I'm warning against it. It'll happen again. There will be a decision to say, let's do a Green Lantern animated TV series or TikTok series or wherever shows go for the kids. And the hero they'll select won't be John Stewart. It'll be one of the other guys. And I'm just saying they'll never have that problem with Static. Let's do a Static show. Who are we going to use, Virgil Hawkins or Vincent Harry? That's not going to happen. That doesn't exist for these top tier for these other characters who could just as easily be top tier. There is no standout winner. The same way kind of Storm and Black Panther. I'm talking about T'Challa. The same way these are just head and shoulders above Luke Cage. Who else is there? That gap doesn't exist in DC. All you gotta do is give one superhero that big budget film, and boom, he automatically will become the premier African descendant superhero. I try not to say black. I try to switch things up. Melanated skin tone of a hue where the sunlight hits his ancestors and it is prevalent. Vitamin D sufficient people. All it takes is one little movie, a big movie with all the resources for people to go, okay, Vixen, that's what we're rolling with? Cool. The conversation of whether or not John Stewart actually is a white character, like, Nick Fury, if I opened up a comic book. Issue 5 of Black Panther in the Ages of Wakanda. But trust me, S.H.I.E.L.D. can take it from here. And they say, Nick Fury? White guy. Caucasian. European descendant. Undermelanated. What Samuel L. Jackson is filming, so that's what I think Mike was the one who said that. Mike or Nerdman, one of the two people were saying, yeah. That problem doesn't exist for John Stewart Green Lantern, but it just wasn't the problem I was talking about, or that I talk about. John Stewart is a waste of representation of finite resources. They should go for the maximum benefit, and not for a character who competes within his own franchise for screen time. There's going to be people who are going to come. So after James Gunn and Peter Safran, the next guy who's the DC chairman is going to say, I want to be a little bit different from those guys. My Green Lantern, my main Green Lantern, it's not going to be John Stewart. James Gunn did that. My main Green Lantern is going to be insert white guy here. Or just literally anybody. He could be somebody black also. If it's not John Stewart, then the elevation of this character will have come to a halt. And I don't care if they use another black character to be the Green Lantern. See, we're still doing black. I'm not falling for that. I don't fall for that for the T'Challa thing. Recast T'Challa. Don't give me, well, here's the Black Panther elevating, and here comes Shuri elevating. Oh, here comes the T'Challa. Little TJ is going to be elevating. Nah. Continue until this Black Panther guy is on the level of Superman. Okay? Back to Green Lantern. See, it always goes back to Black Panther. Back to the Green Lantern. That is the John Stewart problem. I will be taking questions in the comment section. I will refer to you to some other videos here. Watch this great video about temporary representation up here on this side. So what you want? I've talked Green Lantern before. I'll talk Green Lantern again. Again, perp. Again. Not again. Again. He made fun of my Canadian accent in that.